Hello everyone, this is MarinaMalobay and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today, I will share the story of the COVID virus outbreak here in the house I live in. This is not only a house but this is a mansion. I live here together with the owner since he's alone and he travel a lot. And I taking care of the house. I am so blessed and thankful because this place is very nice and this is one of the most expensive place to live in Denmark. So I am lucky. So after the lockdown here, summertime, the landlord was in Mallorca on vacation. When he came back from Mallorca, and the friend stayed in one of the rooms here. At first, everything was normal. There wasn't any big issue. There was a month where everything was just normal. But one day, while I was outside around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I received a message from the landlord and he's asking me if I was in the house or not. He asked me if I could come home and help clean the house. And I asked why should we clean the house because I already cleaned it before. It turns out the landlord had decided to have a swab test for a safety and he was with his friend. So they got tested together. My landlord had tested negative result, but his friend who had already stayed here for a whole month tested positive result for the virus. So because of that, I came home immediately. We had to disinfect the entire house, especially the living room, since his friend was usually on the sofa watching TV. Going home, I was very nervous and scared because it had been one whole month already and we couldn't know how long the friend was infected. I was especially afraid because I am a former cancer patient and I read online that people with previous illness are very easily infected by the virus. When I came home, I wore a mask and talked to my landlord. I told him we needed to disinfect everything in the house, especially all the places his friend usually visited, like kitchen, shower room, living room, and all the doorknobs just in case. While his friend was isolating in his room, I was very afraid while disinfecting the area. After cleaning, I was very tired. I showered and went to sleep after. When I woke up in the morning, I felt very weak. I had cold and was coughing with a bad headache. At this point, I was really afraid. I cried and called my boss immediately to tell him that I couldn't go to work because I have the symptoms, that there was a positive patient where I live. My boss told me to also get a swab test immediately. I asked my landlord, so he helped me in finding an open COVID center test that we can go so that I can get a swab test. When we arrived at the airport, there was a huge line. A lot of people were also waiting to get tested. Finally, after 4 hours of waiting, I finally got to take the test, but the results were instant. I had to wait another 72 hours to my test result. I just went home and isolated myself. While I was just here in my room, I was crying and really afraid because my symptoms just kept getting worse. I kept praying every night and asked my son to do the same. Eventually, after 3 days, I got my test result and it turned out to be a negative result. I was very relieved to get a negative result, but it didn't mean I was already safe because still in our house, the landlord friend is isolating in his room. Of course, I was still afraid, but it was okay since he was just inside in his own room. 5 days later, I was doing laundry in the basement and I was surprised. Suddenly, the landlord's friend came down also to the basement and he wasn't wearing mask or any gloves. I was very mad and immediately scared, especially since it was just 5 days after he tested positive. And of course, everyone was using the same washing machine for their clothes. So I was looking at him really bad because I was afraid. I was just standing away from him and tried to ignore him, but suddenly he talked to me casually and was asking me if I saw a missing shirt or something. At this point, I wasn't able to listen clearly because I was very scared. I just said no and tried to leave as fast as possible. And after that, I complained to the landlord because I thought his friend was just supposed to be isolated in his room alone. So after that, the landlord talked to his friend and said that he was just supposed to be isolated upstairs and that the entire floor, no one would go up on that floor. Then 3 days later, the friend asked to talk to me upstairs. Of course, again I was afraid. So I wore mask and gloves even it is just inside the house. When I went out, he apologized to me and then told me that I didn't need to be scared, to be afraid anymore because he was already cleared by the doctor and now negative for the virus. We talked for a bit and he told me about his situation. Since he lived in Spain, he had no family here in Denmark and was just alone for the entire week. When I heard his story, I felt like crying so much because I could relate his situation. When I had cancer here in Denmark, I was not able to see my family in the Philippines. And I was all alone. He has the same, and it was even worse because everyone's here was so scared of him that didn't even talk to him the entire week. After hearing his situation, I went back to my room and felt really guilty. I was mad at myself because I didn't even think to leave him some food on the door upstairs or help in any way. I was too scared by the virus to help someone who needed help. And then today, he's supposed to go back home to Spain. He talked to me again because he felt bad that I missed work and went to the hospital, so he gave me money. I didn't want to take the money, but he was really nice, insisted over and over until I accepted. I wanted to share this story because it is an important lesson for all of us to learn that the virus is very scary, and it is only right that we are careful so that we do not get infected. But it is more important that we do not forget about the people who are infected, because they need our help too. Thank you guys for watching and listening my COVID story.